Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Bad Girl Wisdom Interviews, and I am so excited to have with me today my fiery amiga friend that I have been so blessed to have met through my Facebook art groups. And this is the beautiful Kitryn Marie. She is an artist, freelance writer, and photographer. And it was really important for me to invite Kit on and share her story. I feel that she is someone who can just pay forward to all of you so much from her experiences and her joy from life and her big heart. And she's definitely one of the bad girls that has walked the road less traveled and knows that success can have curves, and she knows how to come up on top. So here we are. We're going to go into some real talk. Always know that this podcast is always raw and uncut and intuitive. So, Kit, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Before you tell us our story, I just have one question for you. It's my icebreaker question.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
What's one of your favorite words? What's a word that you just love to express?
Manifestation.
Nice.
It is something I totally believe in. If you want something bad enough and you believe it in your soul that it is all doable, and you have every ability within you, and you are capable by all of your powers to be, if you put it out to that universe that we so live in, it manifests, and it comes back to you threefold. And I say threefold because tenfold sounds awfully greedy, and greed has nothing to do with anything in the way that I live my life.
The number 3 works for you.
It does. It does. It's law of attraction. It's law of universe. If you are a good person, it comes back. It comes back to you.
Right on. Okay, so here's my other icebreaker question, and I definitely have stolen this from inside the actor's studio because I really do like James Lipton a lot. Here's the other question: what is one word that just drives you crazy that you can't stand hearing?
No.
No. Good one. Yeah, I am a rebel. I don't like no either.
Yeah, don't tell me no, and don't give me an excuse why there should be a no. Just it's not in my vocabulary. It's yes, I will try, I will go forward, I will give every effort that I possibly have, and behind no is quit. You don't quit. You just keep going.
So share with us your experiences, your story, Kit. Take us into your life.
I am 53 years old. I am a single mom of 3 kids. I have a 30-year-old son who is a bodybuilder and personal trainer. My GQ kid, he looks like something right out of a magazine. I've got a 27-year-old daughter, married, school teacher, English lit degree. I've got 2 grandkids from her that are just absolutely amazing boys, and they love their grandma. And then I have a 14-year-old, he just turned 14, who is from this new generation of gamers. He's very socially awkward. And these 3 kids, I have taught them basically to function outside of a box because that's how I feel like I've lived my life. I am an adult child of an alcoholic. I am an adult child of a parent who was a victim of domestic abuse. My mother died at the age of 31, leaving behind a 6-year-old, myself, and a 3-year-old, my sister. And my mother pretty much rocked the stage in the later 50s and early 60s. She sang semi-professional. So my sister and I, basically, the first part of our life, we grew up on stage, behind stage, under stage lights. And anything that would have been normal to anybody else, it was normal to us. And music was such a very big part of our life. And my mom was a painter. She was an oil painter. And after Mom's death in 1968, it was like life stopped. The music stopped. The art stopped. It was like one day she was here and the next day she was gone. And although my dad's life continued on, and he had to live with the guilt of what had happened, it was never talked about. There were no domestic abuse laws in 1968. Those didn't come about till really after O.J.'s trial. So growing up, because of the fear that I saw and the fear that I had to live through, although my sister and I were greatly taken care of by my grandparents and my aunts, they loved us like no other, there was fear that was put into me. And I just went within. And when I went within, the imagination that a child has, it just kind of develops. And I think I've lived my whole life with my head in the clouds, thinking, I don't have to do it like that just because somebody tells me. And I'm not a wave maker, but I'm the silent rebel. I'll do it my way, and I'm only going to do it my way. And if I decide I don't like it and it doesn't fit into what I call safe in my routine, I walk away. I have learned to shut it out, turn it off, not deal with it. And with all that, I went into my art. I developed who I am through my paintings, through my writing. I'm a very public type person, but I love my quiet. I love the imagination that takes me to this place where I'm safe and I'm calm and I'm not afraid to talk to people about what has happened, because I think there are so many women who think, I'm stuck. This is it. This is my bed. I have to lay in it. This is what I chose. You may have chose it, but you don't have to stay with it. In 1968, my mom didn't have a choice. It was, if a woman decided that that was the life that she wanted to put up with, then what went on behind closed doors went on behind closed doors. In this day and age, in 2015, nobody is allowed to put their hands on you. Nobody is allowed to destroy your property. Nobody is allowed to tell you that you are not worthy. Each woman, each man, we have a worth of our own. And through a lot of the pain and a lot of the sorrow and a lot of the abuse, you have to go deep within and remember who you are way before the world told you who you needed to be. If you don't like it, if you don't like it, change it. Don't worry about anybody criticizing you. The more public you become, the more people become fearful of, oh my God, she can't say that, he can't say that. Or the more public you become and you talk about it, they're like, but do you realize what you're saying about that person? I'm saying nothing about that person. I am saying how it affected me. I am saying I think differently. I'm not better. I'm not above. I'm not beyond. I'm just a unique individual that has learned how to do everything on her own. I don't ask for help, not because I'm not capable of, or not because I have not received help from a lot of great people. It's just I choose to do it on my own because I have found that strength. Now, the flip side of all that, because of that fear, I have a panic disorder. I suffer from a post-traumatic stress disorder from seeing my mother beat up. I go through these things where I have these small little flashbacks of hiding under a bed, in a closet, hearing her voice screaming down a hallway. And I can't explain that to anybody unless they're living it or they know somebody and they've heard it. So with that anxiety, I have learned with all the hats that I wear when to turn it off, when I need to be alone, when I need to be quiet, and what I have to do to physically and emotionally take care of myself. I live pretty much by intuition, my gut feeling, and my heart. Because when you have a panic disorder, your mind wants to overthink the situation. It wants to put an irrational fear where there doesn't necessarily need to be. Now, as human beings, we have that innate fight or flight. When you have a panic disorder, that flight becomes over-exaggerated. And you have to learn which I have done, you have to stop and you have to assess where you are at the moment and are you really in any kind of danger. Well, when I tune it all out and when I have to walk away, I start writing. And any good life coach will tell you, if you have something to say and you don't know how to say it, put it on paper. Sit at your computer, pull up whatever word program you have, and start typing out what's in your mind. It doesn't have to all make sense, because as you start to have it come up from your soul, as you start to have it come up from your gut, it starts to make sense. And it very much gives into who you are as a person and why you act and think the way that you do. Now, because I'm a little standoffish in my public life, I have been told, I don't know who you think you are. I've been told, you're nothing but a fucking bitch. I have been told, you're so high and mighty. Did you ever think about coming out of your cloud? And my answer to that is no. I live 88% of my life in my cloud because my cloud is pretty. It is pink with orange polka dots, and I'm pretty happy right there.
I love that.
I work in all these different entities. I paint, I write, I take pictures. After 20 years, I still have my hand in food and beverage. I have an audience. I have a following. And the 2 little days that I put into my little food and beverage gig, I take care of my 14-year-old. I support my child. My world works for me. I'm not wired to be 9 to 5. I am wired to live in this comfort zone that I have made work for me. And at 53 years old, I'm doing okay. And I encourage anybody, if you want to do something, start small. Nobody says you have to go from A to Z. That's why there's all those letters. You have all those in between. Little steps. Because one step is closer to the next. And you just have to try. You have to go and you have to do. In the morning when if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling scared, assess where you are at the moment. Get yourself up, get yourself dressed, take a shower before, after, it doesn't matter. Get yourself moving. Do your hair, do your makeup, put your lipstick on. Throw on a pair of heels, throw on a pair of tennis shoes, and leave the house. And you go and you do. And that's how I function. That's how I've made it work as far in life. So there pretty much is how I have done things. And I want to encourage other women, other men, teenagers who look at their peers and they don't know where they fit in. You don't have to fit in. I was fortunate when I was a teenager. I was pretty social, but I had different groups that I hung out with. I didn't feel comfortable in just one group. I felt comfortable in about 5 of them. And I could flip that switch and I could wear that different hat. And I just became popular like that. And I encourage kids, teenagers who are going through a depression, step outside of what you think are your friends and learn. Even if you don't say anything, just observe from afar, and try to be active in another group. Try your hand at something skillful, mindful, peaceful. Maybe sports isn't your thing. Do something else. Try your hand in art. You want to learn to paint? Go get a paint by number. Start there. Even with women who feel like they are stuck in relationships, I'm not saying lock, stock, and barrel, pack up your stuff and leave. But again, assess really what is going on. You have to have that open communication. You have to have that open dialogue. Nobody's a mind reader. Nobody's going to read your mind. If you're unhappy, you need to say, look, I'm not happy. This isn't working for me. If you have an issue with your child. And I have to say, my older ones, Jason, who's 30, and Rachel, who's 27, they tell me everything. I am the most fortunate parent in the world to have these kids say, Mom, you're never going to believe what is going on. And then I have Tyler, who comes from this different generation of this different social world that we live in. And I ask him small questions because he doesn't react the same way like the other two did. He's not as enthusiastic about a lot of things, but I leave that open dialogue. When he gets up in the morning, there are so many things I say to him because I don't want to overload him as he walks out that door. And when he comes home, I do the same thing. My general routine: how's school? Anything going on? Did you have lunch? And what did you have? And I leave it at that. And then somewhere throughout that night, if he has something that he wants to say to me, my office is in my bedroom, which is probably not the best place to have it, but so I spend a lot of time in here. He will come in and flop on my bed. And when he comes to flop on my bed, I know he has something to say to me. And I think listening is the key, too. If you are open enough to say, I'm not happy, something isn't right, something is going on, something needs to be changed, something needs to be fixed, then you need to be able to silence all that also, and you need to listen. Just because you have something to say, you're expecting somebody else to listen, well, guess what? Somebody else has got something to say too, and you need to be open to listen. So that's kind of where I'm at with everything, and that's what I encourage.
It's awesome, Kit. I'm so, it's just, I trust my intuition. I just want, it's like I woke up this morning and I was like, I need to just let Kit just go. You just brought us so much wisdom in just packed full in just a few minutes, just sharing forward your story of your life. I relate to you in so many ways. I also, in the past, have dealt with PTSD and from my own trauma and childhood traumas, dramas, and karmas, and I relate to everything you say, and it is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you onto the Bad Girl Wisdom, because we talked about this a little bit, but I want women to see that there are many women that are using their art to heal and defining for themselves what works best in your world, and that was something I had to learn when I had my brain injury, was I had to manage my energy that you talked about. When those feelings come on that start to shake you up, take a moment, take inventory, take a deep breath, assess, are you safe? Where are you at? Just letting yourself flow and just really knowing that, like, you're made for creativity. You're wired for creativity, and that there's so much healing when we let ourselves take that into our life and move through it.
Right. And when you have anxiety and when you have a post-traumatic stress disorder, it really only allows you so much time. Because when you have anxiety, it comes in waves. Sometimes it comes on for no apparent reason. So with me, when I'm at the height of my anxiety, I shut down. I completely withdraw. I become very agoraphobic, which isn't very healthy, but I know it's temporary, and I try
Kit, you know what I find interesting, though, is that when men need to process something emotionally, they shut down, and they disappear for 2 days, and it's called going into their cave or ugly coping. But when we need to take that time, when we need to take time away from our nest and our responsibilities, there's so much guilt that comes with that.
Exactly. And that's part when people say, well, you think you're so high and mighty, what, you can't hang out with us? No, it's not that I don't want to hang out with you, or no, it's not that I don't like you. It's just I need
some me time, right?
Right. It's the time where I need to settle my heart, and I need to settle my intuition, and I need to get a handle on my anxiety. And then once I get a handle on all of it, then you know what? I'm right back in the game. I'm right there being social. I'm right there, being public. I'm right there entertaining the masses.
Well, and that's the thing. That's my next question for you, and that leads right into it. Is let's fine tune this more about focus. So my whole, as I shared with you, my purpose of wanting to put forth the Bad Girl Wisdom interviews is just to share with women what other women are doing that's working for them, and how we're learning to step away from that polyester perfect linear, kind of like illusion that there's a straight road to success, when the truth of the matter is that it does have curves. And anyone who's studied being an entrepreneur and studied business leaders, Napoleon Hill, he had famously interviewed all of these, big, kings of industry that created wealth for the United States, and they all scheduled into their day time to just sit and be in their imagination. There was Charles Schwab was famous for sometimes taking 3 days to answer a question, maybe even a week. And
right.
It's like, as we start to redefine our roles as women and as providers, as so much of us, we're balancing our intuitive, we're balancing being the provider, we're balancing having to go and put our power out in the world. And one of the things that you talked about that I think is really, it sounds like I relate to it, because this is the key to my mojo, is balancing that energy. I used to be someone who I'd go out and push everything out, and then I'd have to come home and collapse and be gone for a few days. And learning to say no was
you learn to say no.
A huge thing.
You learn to create boundaries. You learn where you can draw the line. We need money to survive. We need money to take care of our kids. We need money to take care of our, help with our spouses. I think when you draw the line and you understand what you are really capable of, and not being your own worst critic, you don't have to do everything. You just don't. You don't have to push the envelope to the point of exhaustion. You learn what you're capable of, and there's your boundary. Nothing is normal. There is no normal.
This is the questions I have for you. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I started saying no, sometimes I would be shaken in my boots, because I was taught by business, leaders, no is no. You don't have to. You never have to explain. Listen to the questions that the person has for you. Be available to hear their response, instead of immediately following up your no with an explanation. And I'm still working on that. But what I wanted to ask you is, what I've noticed is sometimes I'll say no, and you'll just get so much intense energy back from someone who is trying to push you to do what it is that they want. And when you just say no, and you don't explain, and you just it's a good kind of fear. You know what I mean? It's that it's intoxicating, it's new, it's weird, but at the same time, because you're in your truth and you know what you're doing, what's best for you, it's powerful. Have you had that same experience?
I have. I've had that exact same thing, and then people want to impose guilt on you. Well, what do you mean you won't do that? What do you mean you don't want to do that? And I think to protect yourself, when you're saying no, you need to become selfish. Not selfish in the way of this is mine and you can't have it, but selfish in the way, look, I'm saying no because I'm not capable of doing it. I am kind of guarding myself. I am kind of protecting myself. It is nothing personal towards you, because as human beings, as women, we take everything personally. And I think in order not to have to make this huge excuse, you just say, at this time, I'm really not capable of doing that for you. And I think possibly somebody else would benefit it better for you, and you leave it at that.
Yeah, and that's, for myself, I started identifying what my time bandits were in my life and where my focus was being pulled. And I really had to, on Facebook, somebody had passed around one of those memes that said, people's opinions, are they paying your bills? And it really started coming down to, I started thinking like, okay, how much weight does your opinion have in my life? How much time am I giving up to listening to your opinion? And I started catching myself in that habit that women fall into, where they'll be available and they'll listen, but they're not, because they feel that they have to. As a woman, we feel pressured that we have to be available 24/7 to be nurturing for everyone. And then when you're in the soft skills, in the healing arts as a body worker or an artist or a performer, or, people are, a coach, people expect you to be on 24/7 for them.
And that's just it. When you are on, is what I'm trying to say, you take on other people's energies. And you need to learn when not to take in their drama, take in the bad things, take in the negativity, and you need to learn when you've had your fill and when you need to walk away from it.
And I like to define, like you said, take on other people's energy. Sometimes that's kind of vague for some people, so I just wanted to chunk that down a little and say it's that thing when you're thinking of their problems all the time instead of focusing on your own life and what's in front of you. That's really what taking on other people's energy means. Because sometimes people, people attribute all kinds of strange things to the word energy these days.
Right, yeah, you're so true. You kind of look at it like this. If you're standing in front of somebody and it's all they're doing is complaining and they're being negative and they're talking bad about other people, if they're putting a situation down or something they've heard on the news that they just want to go off on a soapbox and a bad tangent on, and you're standing there and you're listening and that's not who you are and that's not what you believe, and everybody does have that opinion. But then all of a sudden it gets to be too much, and you feel yourself figuratively kind of like fading out, walking back, trying to get away, and look at it like, to get a visual, you're at some retail store and you have the cashier behind the register, and there's the counter that draws the line between the two, and that the more she's complaining and the more she's saying bad things, and you can feel yourself pulling away from that counter. That kind of negative energy nobody wants to take on, and you just can't get away from it quick enough. And I think people need to understand there's a difference with being empathetic, being compassionate, and knowing when somebody's looking for sympathy, or is that really how they just live their life? And if that's how they live their life, then you kind of got to stop and think, do I really want to be a part of that?
Yeah, so exactly. They're thirsty for something in their life, and they don't know what it is. Because I've been there. I've been that person where I didn't trust myself. I didn't know what I wanted. I wanted something, and I was so desperately just trying to explain, hoping that somebody would listen to what I explained and magically be able to shift everything for me. And that's what they say is, you need to do the work yourself. You need to go, okay, I want this experience. No, I do not like this experience. Yes, I want to put my time here. No, this is a waste of my time. Like listening to local news. I never listen to local news. If anything needs to happen that I need to know, it comes through my Facebook feed,
Right. And I kind of agree with that. You pick and choose. You pick and choose battles, I think, all of your life. And I think at my point that I'm at in my life, and I keep referring to 53 because I'm kind of proud of being 53. I have been through what I think so much that I've discarded what I don't want and finally finally, at this point in my life, I know what I want, and I know what I'm going to allow in my space. I have such a set of standards. I have high values. I have great morals, and I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable with where I am in life. I know what I want to still strive for. And to kind of backpedal a little bit, a couple years back I was diagnosed with a chronic leukemia, and it's not life-threatening, thank God. But I have to take care of myself. I have to. There is no choice in the matter. So in the height of last year, when I was going through some pretty heavy emotional relationship-type changes, my anxiety just kept kicking in, and I was watching my white count just climb, and I kept thinking, what is going on? Why can't I get a handle on this? And I knew I wanted to lose some weight, and I knew I wanted to take better care of myself. And like all women do, when you're ending a relationship, a long-term relationship, and you start to question who you are and what you have and what went wrong and what is it about me and all those bad tapes that want to be played in your head. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to start walking. I'm just going to start walking. I'm not an exercise person, although my kid's a personal trainer. I'm not an exercise person. I didn't want to go lift weights, but I love to walk. I love to observe. I love to look at nature. There's nothing perfect in nature. Why should there be anything perfect in life?
Right.
So I started walking every other day, and I went 2 miles. I went 4 miles, and after about, I don't know, I'll say 2.5 months, I was walking 6 miles 3 times a week. And all of a sudden, my clothes were starting to just be more comfortable. And then I thought, you know what? I don't have a sweet tooth. Why am I eating this? I've never been one to, eat to live. I do eat to live and not live to eat. So I thought, well, I'll start to change my diet. I'll just start incorporating more proteins. And, I eliminated meat actually for a month. I talked with my doctor, and although they were concerned about my...
I've been vegetarian for 25 years. Yeah, I get it. You can feel the difference in your body.
You can. And between my doctor and my kid, and they were like, you really need to keep your iron count up. And I said, I get that, but do you not see without eating meat, I've lost all my belly fat? Are you kidding? I had just gone through the change of life. I had put on, 30 pounds that I did not want.
So let me take you here. Wait, hold on, before you go further, because we're talking about, shifting into what I used to dread when I was younger was the thought of becoming a crone, And I'm 49. I've already been through menopause. I went in menopause early because of my traumatic brain injury. Similar to you, I have to really focus on my health. Like so many women, they're suffering from autoimmune disorders and different cancers and severe allergies. And we're seeing across the board these problems that are going on in health. This is where, because what you keep talking about is like beginning that little thread. Like you mentioned going out and walking a little bit or going out and getting paint by numbers. I started my art by buying those felt posters, those black felt posters, and I used to color in those. And I started doing art similar because I was in a stressful situation where we were caught up in the mortgage crisis, and I started doing art because, like yourself, to manage the panic. And the 3 biggest problems that women are facing right now is anxiety, depression, and weight problems. Now, for myself, I was an emotional eater, but I noticed when I started to move my focus into what it is that fed me and what I loved, the weight came right off. Same thing, like going through menopause, history of thyroid problems, the weight came off. I started dancing. I don't even think about stress eating anymore because I have this daily practice. So how did that focus happen for you?
When I was walking, because I am such an observer, it's not what you see, it's what you don't see. And as I started to walk and as I started to put my thoughts in an order, it didn't necessarily be a chronological type order, it made that part of my brain want to create something. It wanted to be constructive instead of destructive.
Right, you're balancing the right and left hemispheres when you walk.
Exactly. And then what I started to do, there is nothing more therapeutic than a scissors, glue, magazines, and a cardboard piece of paper.
Isn't that the truth? Like, that is the best therapy. And glitter.
Yes, glitter. Oh, yeah, absolutely glitter. And I started making all these vision boards. And I thought, you know what, okay, I can't necessarily have all this right now, but you know what, who's to say that it's not going to come to me at some point? And as I started putting these together, it goes back to that word, manifest. Manifest. If I think it, I can see it. If I see it, I believe it. If I believe it, I can create it. If I can create it, it manifests.
And you have to, women need to feel it. That's the one thing that's really important is women need to feel it. If we don't feel it in our heart, we put it at the bottom of our to-do list.
Right. And it's what I believe in. And if you would come to my house, I have vision boards everywhere. It's just part of my on-the-wall art kind of stuff. And, you know, I would start with these vision boards, and I would put on them the things that meant the most to me. Okay, now I'm a July baby. So I am a Cancer sign. I am the sign of the crab. I am a moon child. And water. I am drawn to water. Oceans, lakes. I'd love a full moon. I love my home. I love to nurture. I love to cook. I cook like there's no other. I still say there's a cooking show out there waiting for me.
I believe it. I see it. I will hold that space for you, Kit.
Yes, I do. That's in my that is in my future. After I write my 2 books that I'm working on, a cooking show is in my future. And I've put these vision boards in an order where I have a relationship where it's healthy, where it is spiritual, where it is mindful, where it is full of love, where it is full of sensuality. I'm 53. I am not dead. I still have needs. I still have wants, and I still want some,
sister. We are not dead.
No, and I still want some hot guy on my arm. I like arm candy. I'm sorry if you want to call me shallow.
Okay, so this is my other question I want to ask you. This is perfect.
Yeah.
You have such a beautiful eye for sensual photography. And I would love for you to all share your conversation with the man that was shocked at these images that you were sharing. Will you tell us that story?
I will. And I did ask John. I said, John, I'm going to be on this podcast. Would it be okay if I shared our story? And he laughed and he said, by all means, go ahead.
Integrity. I love it.
And let me tell you, I love my customers. They tolerate me so well. I am a lucky, lucky girl. They know my head is in the cloud 88%, so whatever comes out of my mouth, trust me, they are entertained. So my Facebook page. I have my regular page that about my kids, about my grandkids, little business things, little mini commercials that I say I do for the food and beverage place that I work for, and then I have my business page, which is my writing, which is my photography, which is the sensual things that I share from other people who are also poets and writers and authors and so on. So I thought, you know what, I'm bored. I'm just going to change it up. I don't have to do it like this anymore. I can go from A to Z and back to D if I want. So I started posting these very beautiful, sensual pictures with these words where this man just desired this woman, and she wasn't quite naked, but his hands were all over, and you got the whole image. So John, one of my regulars, he comes in and he's all flabbergasted. And I said, what's the matter, John? He goes, has anybody else seen your Facebook page today? And I start laughing, and my one girlfriend who was there, she looks at me, she goes, what am I missing? And I said, nothing. I said, I just kind of changed it up a little bit. I said, it's a little sexual. He goes, sexual? He goes, it's damn right pornographic. And I busted out laughing, and I said, John, there is nothing pornographic on my Facebook page. You know, my kids can see it. And let me tell you, because of my children, everything I do, I stop and I think, oh, my God, is that going to cause any embarrassment to my kids? So anyway, I'm going on with John about, and he said, well, I just don't know where that came from. He goes, that was one thing I never expected from you. And I kind of looked at him and I said, and what the hell does that mean? I go, do you not think that I don't have wants and needs too? Not that I want to get into any of my private life with the people that I serve, you know, food and beverage to. But he just said, well, with your image, and I started laughing and I looked at my friend and I go, now I got an image. And she laughed and she said, I don't know what he's talking about. She goes, because I don't really see anything scandalous. And he goes, scandalous it is. And I just laughed and went on to the next thing. And I thought, there you go. There's the voice of opinion right there, you know.
And that's the thing that I love is that women, like everywhere, you know, women like Helen Mirren, is that, you know, women are saying, no, just because I'm aging does not mean that I have to stop being sexy. Just because you have a problem with the idea of a mother being sexy, that's not my issue. That's yours.
Exactly. You know, and I kind of like it. I mean, I don't dress young. I dress where I'm comfortable and what suits me. If I feel like sporting cleavage, I sport cleavage. If I feel like I want to wear a mini skirt, well, hell yeah, I'm 53. You're damn right I'm going to wear a mini skirt. If I want to wear my
Turner's still rocking the mini skirt.
Exactly. If I want to wear my cowboy boots, just stay out of my way because I might kick you if you piss me off, you know. So, you know, it's whatever I feel comfortable in. You know, I take very good care of myself. Why would I not want to wear something that is sexy? Why would I not
see women be able to wear whatever they want when they, you know, if you want to wear a ball gown to work every day, wear a ball gown. If you want to wear, you know, a boa, wear a boa. You know, I'm so tired of this like opinion that a professional woman has to be in this polyester straitjacket to appear that she knows what the fuck she's talking about, and it's ridiculous.
Right, and I've never been one for a suit, and I've never been one for anything very conservative. You know, I'm comfortable with my sexuality. I just am. You know, I take very good care of myself, so why would I not want to get my sexy on, if that's what you want to call it? And I encourage anybody else.
And you're taking care of business. You're taking care of your family. You're a provider. You're an artist. You're an entrepreneur. You're a freelance writer. You're self-expressed.
Exactly. And I think I take a lot of pride when I'm with all of my kids. And a little biased I am, but I have pretty children. I do, and I'm lucky, and I am fortunate, and my higher power blessed me with these.
I've seen the pictures on Facebook. Her children are gorgeous.
So why would I not want to blend in with my kids, make them proud? Because I hear what their friends say. They're like, I can't believe that's your mom. That's your mom. Just like when I'm out with my kids, when I'm out with my older son and we're walking through the mall and I see these women tripping over themselves looking at my kid, and I think, oh, he's mine. He's my kid. So, you know, I mean, I'm proud. I'm proud of them, and I need them to be proud of me.
The kids, don't you agree also, is that it's a lot about laughter. You know, that's what keeps you young. It's just letting yourself have fun.
Have fun.
Go do things that are fun.
We are our own worst critic. We are hard on ourselves. You know, it's enough that you have to hear an opinion from somebody. And how you decide you want to decipher the opinion, it's up to a personal choice. But it's the laughter that you can have with yourself.
Yes. So here's my question. Wait, I've got a question for you. Okay. So for myself, because we both have had, PTSD from a very young age. We both know what it's like to deal with those demons and those inner critics. And then I know for me, it was just one day I just decided that the only way I was going to get through my traumatic brain injury was to become my best cheerleader. So what was that thing for you that helped you start to, turn the ship the other way, become the captain of your life, turn the ship the other way, and take charge of the inner temple, redecorate, and for you? How did that, because I think women, this is where I see women struggle, is they don't know how to redecorate the inner temple, the genie's bottle.
It probably most started in '08 when the economy started to decline. I had this really good job, and it paid extremely well. I was in charge of a pretty prestigious banquet facility, and when it was all coming to an end, I thought, oh, my God, what am I going to do now? And I thought, well, you can always kind of go back to your art. It had always been an extra. I could paint a picture and I could sell it. I could teach a class and little things. Well, our NBC affiliate had started a mom's website. And my mom had worked down at that affiliate back in the later 50s. And she was the head receptionist there. And I thought, oh, my God, how befitting. Here Mom worked here, and now they have an opening for their website to be a part of this team. It was something new that they were trying to do. They were trying to get other mothers to get on board with it. And lo and behold, they said, you're really overqualified. But because of what you've been through and because of the different range of kids, we would love for you to come and be a mediator. Come write for us. It's only 12 weeks. You'll have your own platform, you'll have your own audience, and you'll be in charge. Well, there it was. I was in charge. That's empowering when someone says, I'm going to let you have that creative flow, and you go and do.
Yeah.
So
you go and do. Wait. You go and do. That's the key. Is you didn't sit on it. You did it.
No, I went and I did it, and it seemed like from there it went from one thing into something else. And then I started painting more. And I had always painted. I just had put it aside. Well, the more I became comfortable with being in the public eye and having a shift in income, my 7-year relationship was coming to an end. Yeah. And he didn't like that I was public. He didn't like that my whole shift was changing. And although I was still very much in love, he had other ideas. And it was just.
It's difficult when one person grows one way and the other person grows another. But I've talked to so many women who just this need for almost a career change. It's like you can't take it any further where you're at. Your life has become stagnant, and that you need to grow.
Right.
And it's difficult because sometimes people want to stay in the story that they're in. They don't want to go with you to the new story. And my own teachers say, they remind me, you can't take everyone with you.
No, and that's what I wanted to do. When I realized that the relationship was coming to an end, being heartbroken, I needed to take a different approach, and I needed to refocus on what my need was for what was going to happen for the rest of my life. And I think that's when the shift came of, you know what, I can do more and I can be better than I was yesterday or a year before. I'm still not better than anybody else, but I want to be ahead of the game. And that's when all of a sudden it was kind of like the cloud parted and I realized what I didn't want, and I could really start to see what I did want and what I was going to achieve and what I was going to go after. And although I didn't need to know how it was all going to work out, it's all I knew was it is going to work out. There is no other option. It is going to work out. So
I'm laughing because I understand that so well. You turn to your art and your writing as a Hail Mary, and it was similar for me. It was after the brain injury. Kit? I think we might have lost Kit there for a second. I'm sure she'll come back on in a minute.
My phone is cutting out.
Oh, there you are. Kit? Well, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties at the moment, but I want you all to remind everyone that you can find all of Kit's links, all of her information, her bio. As you can see, she's this dynamic, exciting voice for women and as an artist and an entrepreneur. And I think she's going to be calling right back in. But as we move forward, as we're talking about focus and why this is important for so many women is that we do carry a lot of pain in our heart. We do carry a lot of emotional baggage. We do carry a lot of space for the people that we love. And then so many of us were brought up in a tradition where we felt that we had to be constantly available and on 24/7 for other people as well. And that's why I really want to bring Kit on, because she has this amazing balance to me, and I learned from her that she is balancing family and balancing her art and doing all of this with an autoimmune disorder, with PTSD. And so the key is about learning how to manage your energy. Kit, is that you?
Yes, I got cut off.
Okay, Kit is back. Yay.
I got cut off. Something had interrupted into the phone conversation, and I'm like, where did you go?
I was like, no, it's a technical glitch, right? We live in a technical world.
Technical world, exactly. So
let me ask you about that, because a lot of women I talk to, they're afraid of the Internet. They're afraid of learning how to do business on the Internet. Did you find it a difficult learning curve? Because for myself, having to be at home because of, restoring my health and energy, working online is a wonderful, it's compatible.
Right. And I think along the way I've been teaching myself and not afraid of a piece of equipment. I think it's trial and error, and I think you just kind of have to learn it. This is what I've learned about social media, and it goes back to when I had the 12-week gig. When you are on the computer and you are on social media, you need to be really conscious of what you are putting out there. You have a responsibility. You don't want to
Right. Are you promoting what you love, or are you bashing what you hate?
Right, exactly. You do not want to bash. You want to make sure what you're saying is being seen in the correct light, because it's not like you're having a conversation with somebody. So many things are misconstrued. So many things are misunderstood.
So what I like about Facebook, wait. So what I like about Facebook groups, right? Have you seen, so let's talk about what you can do, right? We all know about that stuff. What have you done to, go through the muddy waters of social media? Because I see Facebook groups that set boundaries. I see Facebook groups, for myself, I have my own boundaries about posts. What are yours?
When it comes to my personal page, I will put things up about my kids. I will put things up, like I said, little mini commercials about if I'm going to do my food and beverage thing. I try to always be very positive. On my regular pages, a lot of people I went to high school with still, people that I'm still in contact with, the people I work with, the people I work for. So with me personally, everything is about image. On my personal page, it is my character that is going out. So if it's not in a good light and in a positive way, it doesn't go on that page. Now, on my business page, because it's mostly creative, I kind of push that envelope. I will do something a little bit more edgy because I do write and I am comfortable with raw emotion. I am okay with taking a scenario and tweaking it a little bit where people kind of stop and I know they're thinking, who is she talking about or what is she doing? And then in the next minute I might go to something else and I'm all over the board. But again, it's in a very positive light. And I just think there's a social responsibility. There's just too many bad things out in the world and too many things that are taken in the wrong light. And people need to understand, being creative, your mind goes in many directions at many times. And once you're in the thick of doing something, you run with it. You don't question it, you just go. And then after it's done and it's out there, then that's who you are. And that shows...
That's creating from your authenticity, your intuition.
Exactly. It's showing who your true spirit is. It's showing your true self. And it's showing that you're brave and you're comfortable, again, with that creative part that's inside you.
And you're setting an example for your children as
exactly.
How you're holding your integrity and how you're self-expressing in the world of social media. One of the reasons I wanted to start the Bad Girl Wisdom interviews was because I was so heartbroken to hear about these young girls that have committed suicide after, being young and doing what we all did as young. You're naive. Maybe you overindulge. Maybe you chose the wrong guy. Maybe, you got wild and crazy and caught up in the moment. But now it's like these girls, they pass out. There's pictures being taken. They're passed around.
Right.
And it's like I want, and all examples of women who have been self-expressed sexually. It's like, Thelma and Louise, they drove over a cliff, and everybody else, passes out or ends up in an asylum or rehab. And I really wanted women to pay forward that are comfortable being themselves. And part of that is our sexuality. As, one card said, I'm a slut, or AKA I have the morals of a man. How, we need to be leaders. We need to show these women that they can bounce back and that their life isn't over because they fell off that narrow tightrope.
Last year, right before I was getting ready to where I knew I was going to make this change in my personal kind of life, I thought I need something that is going to reassure my own mind. I need something visual in front of me because that's how I learn. I can't read a book and get it. I have to see it. I have to have somebody say, this is how you do this, or this might be how you could do that. I decided I was going to have a lingerie photo shoot. Last year I had 3 actual photo shoots. Worked with 3 different photographers. And as I was getting through this one session, I thought, you know what, it's now or never. I feel comfortable with how I look, even though it was right before I knew I was going to be losing weight and getting myself in better shape, but I was comfortable with my body. And I think women need to be comfortable with their body.
Yeah, that was a struggle for me. Was it a struggle for you?
Oh, my God. I'm Italian. We were force-fed.
I'm half Mexican. Like, there's nothing I can do. I had ass and hips way before it was popular.
Right. So here I'm getting ready to do this photo shoot, and I'm like, well, you know what? It's now or never. And I did not strip down. I didn't take it to that pornographic level, but it was pretty edgy. And I did post a few of the pictures on Facebook on my business page. And one of my son's friends saw it. And he went to Jason and he said, why does your mom have a half-naked picture of herself up there? So these conversations that my kids love to have with me, because sometimes they think they're the parent and I'm the child. Jason said, what are you doing? He said, do you not realize people look at that? And I said, yeah. I know people look at that. He said, what message are you sending? And I said, let me ask you this, Jason. I said, do I look bad? And he kind of just looked at me and he shook his head. He goes, no, you don't look bad. He said, you always look, put together. And I said, am I showing anything? And he said, no, you're not showing anything. And I said, other than the fact that I am your mom, I said, is it offensive to you? And he goes, no. And I said, let me remind you, you have had 4 photo shoots, some risque, some in costume. You're showing your creative side. What's the difference with me showing my creative side? And I said, I'm healthy and I'm still young enough and I still want to be sensual enough. Although I'm your parent, I still have a need. I still have a want. And why would I not want to put that out there in a positive light? And with that, it was like a light bulb went off over his head. And he goes, I get it, Mom.
Well done, Kit. Well done.
He said, I get it. He said, I totally get it. And,
yeah.
you know, I mean.
But it's about sensuality. And I think that's the difference that men don't understand, that our creativity and our nurturing and our heart is wrapped up into sensuality. And when our sensuality meter is depleted, our health, our excitement for life, everything falls. I'm similar to you. Like when I turned 40, I did a photo shoot, my first lingerie photo shoot. I've been an artist model. I've acted naked on stage. And I pushed myself into these areas where I was afraid to show my body because I was so desperately trying to break through the fear.
Right.
And get comfortable.
And, you know, and I'm just comfortable with who I am. I am comfortable in my skin. I am comfortable in my shape. I am comfortable right where I am in the space that I stand as we speak. And that says a lot. And I just wish that for every person. Don't be like everybody else. Don't want to strive to be like anyone else. Be who you are, because that's who you are. Be your own individual. You know, we all fall down. We all get hurt. We all get heartbroken. People leave. People die. People change their mind. People cheat. People move away. Be comfortable regardless of what happens outside. You have to be happy with where you're standing right at the moment.
That's awesome, Kit. That's just amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to have to start wrapping it up. I can't believe how fast time goes, but I want to leave enough time for you to share with everyone where they can find you. You know, what is it that, you know, you're excited about, what's coming up for you with your business and your art?
Right now I'm working on a series of paintings of little prairie churches. I'm just kind of taking my painting to a whole other level. I am working on 2 books right now. One is called Seaside Shore, and the other one is called Game Changer. They're both kind of romantic type fictional books. One, Game Changer, is a little bit more of a thriller. I hope to have both of them done by the end of this year. No pressure there. I will be traveling to Nashville, I believe, the beginning of July, because I want to be able to look for an outside source to write for. I just have this calling where I feel like I want to go to Nashville. And then the flip side of all that is I would love to be able to send some of my paintings to a gallery in Montana. So any listeners, if you know of any periodicals that are looking for writers in Nashville, or any art galleries that are looking for some new work in Montana, feel free. Send my name and send them information. Send me the information. You can Google Kitryn Marie, and I believe I'm the first 2 pages. Kitryn, my mom, because she did work as the receptionist at our news affiliate, she had worked with 2 women who had similar names, and she put the name together. So there are not a lot of Kitryns out there. So you can just kind of Google. And I believe, did you not tell me that all the information will be on your website?
Correct. All the links are below the podcast player right here that everyone's looking at on the page. You go below the player, And you can also find the podcast. It'll be available for a week on SoundCloud, and people can join up at the Bad Girl Wisdom interview website, and you'll be able to download it for free next week.
Right. And then the
with
other
all
thing,
your info as well.
And I'm looking forward to instructing again. I love having an audience when it comes to painting. I do a lot of in-home where people have me come to their house and entertain their friends for 4 or 5 hours painting. So that information is all on my website.
What a great idea. Wait a second.
Yeah.
You have a painting party.
Pretty much.
And
I call it, what I like to call it is let's watch the paint dry. I like small groups. Yeah, I like small groups. I bring the canvas. I create the image, the theme. You know, the person tells me what they would like to learn, and they are actual lessons. It's not like, you go in and everybody does the exact same thing. You are learning a lesson. You are learning about color. You are learning about perspective. Everybody gets a variety of choice of color, so it isn't the same. And then for probably 4 hours, they get a full lesson with the painting. So it's wonderful.
And I like one of your painting parties.
Oh, they're fun. I even have them at my house for people, if they don't want to do it in their own home, they can come to my house. So, and I do reside in St. Louis, Missouri, people.
Road trip.
Yeah,
I have a dream of doing a Facebook road trip and visiting all my friends from Facebook, On
my webpage, though, it pretty much says everything that I do. My writing, my photography, you can see all of it on Kitryn Marie website. So.
And you have a blog, right? Correct?
I do have a blog. I'm not as active on it as I probably should be, but you can see my style of writing. You can see my art. You can see my photography. And
if you could be as active as you would like to be, what would that look like? Whenever a woman says should, then I always like to know, what is that vision that you want to step into? What's the other side of that should?
I probably should pay more attention to the blog and write on it more often. Because I've been so sidetracked by getting these books done, the blog has kind of been put on a back burner, but I think so more people are more in touch with what's going on with me on a regular basis. The following that I have.
Maybe you can feed us some little updates on your books, or give us some little sneak peeks, because those both sound very interesting.
Actually, if you go to my KM Designs Writer's Mind on my Facebook business page, every great once in a while I'll write a snippet about either one of the books. But I probably should, on my blog, I should be putting, certain things in chapters, and because these characters, I have definitely fallen in love with them. The Seaside Shore.
They sound amazing.
Yeah, Seaside Shore, this gal inherits a resort, and she falls for one of the people that is staying there who works on an oil rig. And half the time he's out in the ocean, and the other time he's half, at the resort. And I fell so in love with these two characters. I was getting heartbroken because he kept leaving her. he kept putting his work in front of what they needed to take care of with each other. So I was like, I have to walk away from this.
I think we can all relate to that story, Kit.
Yeah.
Kit, we're almost out of time. We've got 60 seconds left. Is there anything that you would like to share before we sign off?
I think more than anything, just embrace who you are. Embrace the quality of the being that you are. Don't want to be like anybody else. Take care of your health. Take care of what you know you are capable of. Don't take on too much. And just life is a blessing. Don't have regrets. Try to lose the fear. Get rid of that conflict between heart and mind. When you love, you love. And with me, when I want to feed, you better be hungry. I'm just all about my family, and I'm about whoever's in my fold, I'm going to love you, and I'm not letting go. I let you in my space for a reason, and I do not allow a lot of people in my space.
Well, I can attest, being part of Kit's tribe online is a blast, and your heart just envelops all of us in everything that you do, and I've just really come to enjoy looking forward to your posts and connecting with you, and I appreciate you so much spending the time with us today in the Bad Girl Wisdom Tribe and sharing your heart and your wisdom and your creativity and your joy for life and your encouragement for all of us to just step into our beautiful weirdness and let it fly.
Exactly. And if anybody
all right,
wants to
I love you, Kit.
Love you too.
Well, I'm going to sign off on the Bad Girl Wisdom podcast. This is the end of another